I've seen my share of HOA nonsense, but this one still makes me shake my head. Imagine a record-breaking snowstorm, 2 feet of powder overnight, roads so slick you could ice skate down your driveway. Now imagine your neighbor, an entitled HOA president, marching over, screaming that your snowplow violates community aesthetics, and then taking it. That's what happened to me. But karma didn't wait long, because just hours later, her street turned into an ice trap, and suddenly everyone was begging for the same man she humiliated. They called it the January freeze, the worst snowstorm our town had seen in 20 years. I live in a quiet community called Maple Ridge, where the HOA rules are thicker than the town phone book. But I'd always managed to stay out of trouble, mostly. I own a small contracting business. Nothing fancy. Home repairs, landscaping, and in winter, snow removal. My old red pickup truck was fitted with a plow attachment. It wasn't pretty, but it worked like a dream. When forecasts warned of a blizzard, I parked my truck in my driveway, ready for the next day's chaos. That's when Karen showed up. Karen Lutz, the self-appointed queen of Maple Ridge HOA. Mid-50s, pearl necklace, attitude like she ran the White House. She walked up my driveway with her usual I own you energy. "Mr. Porter," she said, squinting at the plow on my truck. "That monstrosity violates our exterior appearance standards. You need to remove it immediately," I laughed. I thought she was joking. "Karen, it's a snowplow. We're about to get 2 feet of snow." Her lips tightened. "Your business equipment cannot be stored in driveways." "It's unsightly," I pointed toward the street. "You do realize the plow clears that unsightly snow so people like you can drive to yoga class?" She didn't even blink. "You can clear snow after you move it off this property. The HOA rules are clear," I sighed. "And what if I don't?" Her smile widened. "Then I'll have it removed for you." By the time I went to bed that night, the snow had already started. Thick, heavy flakes blanketed everything in white silence. I woke up at dawn to the low moan of wind and the creak of ice forming on tree branches. Perfect plowing weather. I pulled on my boots, grabbed my coffee, and opened the garage door, only to stop dead. My truck was gone. The driveway was empty except for deep tire tracks leading toward the HOA storage lot down the street. My stomach dropped. She wouldn't have, but she did. A quick call to the HOA office confirmed it. "Per Ms. Lutz's direction," they said, "your non-compliant vehicle has been impounded in accordance with neighborhood regulations." I could hardly believe it. During a storm emergency? That was illegal. Dangerous, even. I told them, "If someone gets hurt because you blocked my ability to clear these roads, that's on you." The clerk just said, "Please submit your appeal in writing." I hung up and stared out at the whiteout blizzard raging outside. This wasn't just about a truck anymore. It was about her ego. By noon, the neighborhood was buried. Snow drifts up to 3 feet deep. Cars trapped. Doors frozen shut. And the main entrance road, controlled by the HOA, was completely impassable. I watched from my window as cars spun helplessly at the intersection. Delivery vans, even an ambulance at one point, struggling to get through. Karen's house sat at the top of the hill, overlooking the whole neighborhood like a frozen fortress. I could see her pacing in her front window, talking on the phone, her perfectly coiffed hair now wild with stress. Her driveway was buried. Her street iced over. And guess whose name was being whispered by every desperate neighbor with a shovel? Mine. Around 3 p.m., there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find my neighbor, Mark, shivering, red-faced, clutching a snow shovel. "Porter, we can't get out. Karen's calling the police, but they said the city plows won't make it up here till tomorrow." "Can you do something?" I smirked. "I would, but the HOA stole my snowplow." Mark groaned. "You're kidding." "Nope. It's sitting in their storage lot right now." 10 minutes later, half the neighborhood had gathered outside my garage, furious. They all wanted to confront Karen, but I had a better idea. I grabbed my phone and called the county emergency response office. "Hi," I said calmly. "I'm a licensed contractor in Maple Ridge. My snowplow was impounded by a homeowners association during an active winter emergency. I have proof, and now emergency vehicles can't access our streets." The silence on the other end was brief but sharp. The dispatcher said, We'll send a county inspector immediately. An hour later, a county truck pulled up. Well, tried to. It got stuck halfway down the road. The inspector, a big guy named Daniels, trudged the rest of the way on foot. He met me in my driveway, clipboard in hand. "You the one who called?" I nodded. "They took my snowplow. HOA says it's unsightly." Daniels raised an eyebrow. "During a declared snow emergency?" "Yup." He muttered something under his breath, then headed straight for Karen's house. Half the neighborhood watched as he knocked on her door. She opened it, still in her expensive coat, face flushed red with embarrassment. Their conversation started civil, but quickly got heated. Even from my porch, I could hear bits of it. "You're not authorized to impound emergency equipment. This community has appearance standards. Ma'am, this isn't a beauty contest. This is a public safety violation." 10 minutes later, Daniels came back to me, shaking his head. "She's lucky this isn't criminal," he said. "But she's about to have a very bad day. The county forced the HOA to release my snowplow immediately. By the time I drove it back, dusk had fallen. The headlights cut through thick snowflakes as I revved the engine and lowered the plow blade. The first street I cleared, Karen's neighbors stood on porches, cheering as I carved wide, clean lanes through the frozen streets. Kids waved. Mark handed me a thermos of coffee. Then came the best part. As I approached Karen's driveway, I saw her standing there, arms crossed, face pale, her car buried up to the mirrors in ice. She looked at me like she'd swallowed a lemon. I rolled down my window. "Need a path cleared?" I asked. She hesitated. Her pride battled her panic. Finally, she muttered, "Yes, please." I grinned. "Sure thing. But just so you know, next time you impound my truck, I'll send you the invoice." She didn't respond. She just stood there, watching as I cleared her driveway, slowly, methodically, leaving neat walls of snow on either side. By the time I finished, she looked about 2 inches tall. The fallout came fast. 2 days later, every resident received a formal apology letter from the HOA board. Karen had been suspended as president pending a review of conduct. Apparently, the county fined the HOA for unauthorized interference with emergency equipment. The total? $15,000. And they were required to reimburse me for the towing, impound fees, and damages, plus community service hours for public snow clearing. Guess who was assigned to help shovel sidewalks? Karen. When I drove by that weekend, there she was, wrapped in 3 scarves, trying to chip ice off the mailbox with a garden trowel. I gave her a friendly wave. She didn't wave back. After that, things changed in Maple Ridge. The HOA got quieter, more reasonable. They even asked me to head the new Community Safety Committee. I accepted, on one condition: no one touches my truck again. They agreed. The next snowstorm that hit, I plowed the entire neighborhood without complaint, even Karen's street. And when she walked out, this time she actually said, "Thank you." I smiled and nodded. "You're welcome." Because at the end of the day, I didn't need revenge. I already had what I wanted: peace, respect, and a community that finally understood that common sense beats power every single time. If there's one thing this whole mess taught me, it's that entitlement and arrogance have a funny way of freezing over fast. The people who crave control the most are usually the first to panic when nature or karma reminds them who's really in charge. And sometimes all it takes is a snowstorm to melt their ego, because when the ice finally cracked in Maple Ridge, so did the reign of one very entitled HOA Karen.